Two teams on the rise in the respective history of their programs, trying to prove themselves for a second consecutive season. It's a near top 25 matchup here in Dahlonega as the Florida Tech Panthers make the trip north to Dahlonega to take on the 22nd ranked Nighthawks of North Georgia. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. I am Brendan Shabath. Alongside me today is Robert DiClemente, my partner. Very excited to bring you what we said, Robert, a near top 25 matchup. Florida Tech in the most recent United Soccer Coaches poll, 26th technically in the country. They're receiving the most votes of anybody outside the top 25, a team that was ranked number 3 in the preseason. By the unique setup of the top 25 poll and the regionalization of it, they fall out of the top 25 immediately despite a 4-1 win in their first game over Tiffin, a team from Ohio. Just the way the poll works. But, hey, these are two very good squads that are facing off today.
Absolutely. This is definitely should be a top 25 matchup between two of the best teams in the Southeast. This matchup, a bit of a precursor for the Nighthawks later on this season. They have 3 more games lined up in the regular season against currently nationally ranked opponents, even though Florida Tech, like you said, isn't technically a top 25 opponent. They absolutely deserve to be. They have the makings of one of the best teams in the country. And if North Georgia can come away with a win this afternoon or have a strong showing against a really quality program, they're going to be in a great position come the rest of the season.
So let's take a look at the starting lineups. We'll start first for Florida Tech. And there are some key names in this lineup. A lot of newcomers on this team, very similar to UNG. They bring in 16 total new players, 8 new transfers, 8 new freshmen. The big names to look for on that lineup, Lydia Carroll, a goal scorer last year. She's really good on that back line for Florida Tech. But 2 names that we don't see, Lauren Wood and Sarah Bachaji. They're both on the bench, both dressed. We assume they're healthy by all appearances, but not starting. Lauren Wood, the junior from Preston, England, their lead returning goal scorer this season, all Sunshine State Conference third-team selection from last year. She did play in their first game against Tiffin. We don't know what happened in the second game against Flagler, and that's a unique situation for Florida Tech. They were scheduled to play a second game against Flagler most recently on Thursday. That game did start. It just did not finish. The lights malfunctioned at Flagler's Field. It was a 5:30 kickoff. The game went too late. It got too dark. They couldn't finish. From the accounts that we've heard, and this is unconfirmed because that information is not available on either team's websites due to the game being considered a no contest. They didn't play more than 70 minutes. Had they done that, it would have been considered a contest and ended at whatever the score was. From what we can determine, though, it was a 2-2 game at halftime between two very good squads in Flagler and Florida Tech. So they only have one official game under their belt so far.
Absolutely. And like we mentioned, and we were talking before this game, this is really going to be the matchup for Florida Tech that really tells us who they are as a program here in 2024. They lost some big names in the offseason, and coming into 2024, they do still have a lot of talent on this squad, but this is really going to be the telltale matchup for them this season.
It's Lopez for the Nighthawks with it on the near side as she pushes it up. Daniela Taubin goes to retrieve it. Taubin, a all-Sunshine State second-team selection last year. She pulls it away from Watry. Now with it is Clara Schmidt-Sanchez Andrade. And that's booted away out of bounds. It will be a Florida Tech throw-in. So the Nighthawks coming off a dominant win against Young Harris on Wednesday. The Battle of Blood Mountain, 7-0 in that win. A number of players getting their first goal of the season and collegiately. A couple freshmen finding the score sheet for them. The throw-in is headed out by Adley Wheeler, a junior leader for the Nighthawks.
Yeah, we saw Wheeler go down in that matchup against Young Harris. Didn't play at all in the second half. Great to see her back in the starting lineup here for Coach Ralton.
Hala Helgadottir turns it over. It's Alex Clark, one of those first goal scorers of the season on Wednesday. Wheeler with it. She's still looking for her first of the year out of the midfield. She's seen an increased role. Feels like the ball's always on her foot, and now they've got an opportunity here. Wheeler just outside the box, sends one chipped towards the goalkeeper. Caitlin Sinkler catches it. First shot of the day is on target for the Nighthawks, but Sinkler right there to scoop it up. Omerad trying to get away from the defensive Kat Watry. the graduate captain wearing the pink armband for the Nighthawks, Watry and Darby Olive, who we didn't see much more than 2 minutes in that game against Young Harris. Any concerns can go out the window. Darby Olive is fine and healthy. They're just resting her in that game. A good decision by the coaching staff. You've got a top 25 matchup essentially coming in the next game. You rest one of your senior attackers in Darby Olive. Yeah,
Coach Ralton didn't really need Darby in that last matchup against Young Harris. We saw her a little bit towards the end of that game, but there was a lot of new faces on this North Georgia squad who really carried the load for the Nighthawks in that one.
So it's an interesting X's and O's matchup between these two squads. We mentioned a lot of similarities, a lot of newcomers. Both had very successful seasons last year, trying to maintain that success and stretch it into his second year. But when you look at the X's and O's, what Florida Tech does so well is score the ball. They put up 4 goals against Tiffin. We mentioned we believe they had 2 against Flagler again. We want to asterisk that is unconfirmed, but we believe they had 2 goals at least against Flagler. And last year they led the nation in a bunch of the scoring categories. They were top 15 in points, assists, and goals. And the biggest key piece that returned this season for the Nighthawks in a year where they lost a lot of people from last season is the back line. They've got a lot of seniors, all Peach Belt selections on that back line, anchoring it. So it's a really good attacking front for the Panthers against a really strong back line for the Nighthawks today. We'll see how that plays out. So far, through the first few minutes, 5 played, it's been the Nighthawks maintaining consistent pressure in the midfield, but Florida Tech holding time of possession probably through the early stages.
Yeah, this back line for North Georgia really over the last handful of years has been tops in the Peach Belt Conference. And even after losing the Peach Belt Conference Defender of the Year in Bailey Vessel, this back line for North Georgia really hasn't missed a beat. 2 shutouts in their first 3 games here in the 2024 season. They've really looked as stellar as they have been.
Yeah, they lost 5 all-conference selections last year. They had 10, so they lost 5, returned 5, 3 juniors and 2 seniors, a part of that returning battalion of all-conference selections. The other highlight loss from last year is Maysoon Al-Shami, one of 2 All-Americans for the Nighthawks, and they are without their other today. Here's a chance for Florida Tech, and that's just wide. That's off the foot of Clara Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade. So the other All-American that Nighthawks are without is Sierra Fowler. She played the first half in that game against Young Harris. She is out with an injury today, so Faith Bullied, the junior goalkeeper from Savannah, getting the start. Faith played all 45 minutes in the second half and did not concede a goal against the Mountain Lions on Wednesday.
Yeah, this is just her 3rd start in the last 2 seasons for Faith Bullied, and definitely the biggest of her career so far as a Nighthawk. A big matchup against like we said, could be a top 25 team in Florida Tech, and so this is going to be a huge game for her if she's able to pull away with the win here.
Yeah, Bully played just 34 minutes total in her career before Wednesday's game against Young Harris, so it sounds like the coaching staff got some time under her sea legs. Maybe she can get those warmed up for today. So far, she's seen 1 shot. It was off target from Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade. Fruits with it on the back line as the Nighthawks will try to shape in the middle third. Here's Allie Treadwell, the standout freshman for the Nighthawks so far. Treadwell, typically a midfielder due to some other injuries that the Nighthawks have on the back line to start the season. She's been starting at center back for them, and she's a part of a team that has only conceded 1 goal so far. And here's a good through ball to Odinger, but her run just a little bit off time, and it goes back to Sinkler, who will collect it. A good ball from Treadwell, though. She's been really impressive to start this year.
Absolutely. She's one of many new faces on this Nighthawk roster that has really stepped up big after we lost a lot of veterans in the offseason here. And, Treadwell is just one of them that has really been playing a huge role for North Georgia so far through these first handful of games. Expect to see a lot of her in the coming years.
Omerad to the far side to the freshman, Alice Mottershead. She crosses it in, and Bullied is there to scoop it up. That cross intended for Jimena Haregi, the first Sunshine State Offensive Player of the Week last week. She had 2 goals in that 4-1 win over Tiffin.
Yeah, she's already off to a great start to her Florida Tech career.
Haregi, a standout NAIA player at Bellevue, which is up there in Nebraska in the Continental Athletic Conference. 2-time CAC Player of the Year, 2-time All-CAC First Team selection. She was a dominant player with Bellevue, and she's already off to a good start for Florida Tech. Wheeler's shot scooped up on the dirt by Sinkler. That one from about 30 yards out. Wheeler with a couple shots already.
Yeah, she's already had a couple good looks here in this one. She hasn't recorded a goal yet here in 2024, but she had a handful of really impressive goals last season. If she's able to find her footing soon, the Nighthawks are going to be in good shape.
Turnover in dangerous territory. Lopez sends a shot. It's off of her own teammate, Bailey Odinger, who couldn't get out of the way. Nina Lopez got to a comfortable spot just on the near right side of the 18-yard box and fired, but Odinger was in the path, and now coming the other way is Alice Motorshead. Motorshead stops in the box. She sends one off the left foot. Bully punches it up. And what a tough save by Faith Bully, the junior, on the first on-target shot of the day for the Panthers. It will be a corner kick, but Faith Bully saving danger early.
Yeah, in these first 10 minutes or so, Bully definitely has been tested here by these strikers for Florida Tech, and so far she's been up to the challenge. That was an incredible save from her.
So it looks like it will be Haregi taking it, the lefty, on the far side corner. 5 in the box for the Panthers. It's a good high arcing ball, headed down, directed, and Bully jumps on it. That was off the head of Hala Helgadottir. So 2 saves for Faith Bullied in a matter of seconds. 35 minutes to play still here in the first half. Scoreless between the Nighthawks and the Panthers. Watry with a nice spin move on the near side. Leaves the freshman in the dust. And now it's out of bounds off of Rebecca Storr. So a throw in for the captain.
North Georgia's got to figure out a way to contain these attackers for Florida Tech. They had 14 corners in their season opener against Tiffin about a week ago, and they get one early here. Definitely want to try to limit them as much as possible, limit these opportunities here from the Panthers.
Rebecca Storr, the Swiss junior, throws it in, and now in the midfield it goes to Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade. Through ball. Haregi made a turn. It's collected instead by Marta Yopis. Yopis into the box. Yopis past the defender and crosses it to nobody. It goes to 0-0 in light blue. Faith Bullied. Marta Yopis, a junior from Spain, transfer from Iowa Western Community College, where she was back-to-back National Junior College champions in 22 and 2023. Her and Julia Duarte, who will be off the bench today for the Panthers, both transfers from Iowa Western Community College. Interestingly enough, last year, Iowa Western faced East Florida State College in the NJCAA National Championship. East Florida State, Sophia Posner, also transferred this past year to Florida Tech. So 2 Iowa Western Community College players going against a player that they beat, or teammates now, I should say, with a player that they beat in Sophia Posner in the national championship last year at the junior college level. Watry gets taken down. No whistle. The ball is still free just outside the box. Racing in to come pick it up is Storr. She battles on the sideline, and a foul is called against Watry.
Yeah, you can hear the crowd here at the UNG soccer field. They want that first whistle down in the box where Watry hit the turf. This is going to give the Panthers a free kick and a bit of dangerous territory here on this left side.
Equidistant inside the 18-yard box. Coming over is a freshman, Katie Omerad. So this is going to be a tough angle for the Panthers, but a dangerous spot again. Another set piece. This one's into the middle of the box. Headed up, still loose. Couple headers. Bully finally charges, runs through a Panther to get the ball, and she does. Couple bodies down on the floor. Kat Watry, one of them. Faith Bullied another. Couldn't see who it was for Florida Tech. It's number 12, Hala Helgadottir. Clock not issued to stop, but a pause in the gameplay from the referee to make sure Helgadottir is okay.
Yeah, great to see everybody up there. A couple bodies colliding there. Faith Bullied able to come up with that ball. She has been working here in these first about 13 minutes or so, and she's been up to the test.
Olive to Aronoff on the far side, and her forward pass intended for Chloe Diaz slides out of bounds. That was Marta Yopis who got the first head on the ball on that set piece. Kind of a de facto corner kick that was. Like to see Bully being aggressive early, though. She's certainly not afraid. This would be an easy game to have the nerves spike and lead to some miscues, but she's been strong through the first 15 minutes. And a foul in the midfield against Florida Tech. And it looks like our referee has a couple words for the offender. Looks like that's Helga Daughter again. It is. So she complained about the call and had a talking to, and now Michael Fruits, senior defender, will start it right on the midfield line. Sends it up for Diaz. She spins off Helga Daughter, trying to get to the box. Coming out is Sinkler, and she gets there before anybody else. Caitlin Sinkler, the junior keeper from Decatur. A couple Georgians on this Florida Tech squad. Florida Tech has a bunch of players from outside the country, 13 foreign-born players on this team. Here's Yopis. She's one of them, and she sends it forward. A shot, bullied with the stop, ball still loose, and she'll dive on top of it. Shot came from the freshman Katie Omerod. And Faith bullied with another save today.
Yeah, that's now the third official save that'll go down in the stat sheet for Faith bullied, but she's had to make a number of plays early here for North Georgia.
Odinger, a deep run into the near corner off the punt from bullied, and it stays with Florida Tech as it just skips out of bounds. So just going back to that last point, 13 foreign-born players for Florida Tech, 3 from Germany and England, 2 from Spain and Iceland, and 1 each from Mexico, Switzerland, and Sweden. A couple of them brand new to this 2024 team under the first-year direction of Katie Friels. Olive with it on her left foot just outside the box. She sends it forward. It's Aronoff in the far corner. The cross is off the ground, deflected before it gets to Diaz, and Yopis will control going back the other way for the Panthers now. Diaz tried to step in and steal that one. Omerod with a deep ball to the middle over the head of Yopis. Watry collects it, and it's touched away, though, as it's taken away. Omerod, a couple dribble moves, trying to work on Alex Clark. It's retreated backwards to Lydia Carroll. So Katie Friels, the first-year head coach for the Panthers, taking over for Ryan Moon, who had an outstanding record in his 3 seasons with Florida Tech. 35, 12, and 15 led them to the Final Four last year. They beat Lenore Rhine 5-4. They were the top seed in the reseed of the Final Four. They lost in the semifinals 3-0 to Point Loma, who would eventually be the national champion as the 4 seed. But it was an outstanding, historic year for Florida Tech, and Ryan Moon rode the coattails of that to a Division I job at Jacksonville University. And Florida Tech elected to promote volunteer assistant Katie Friels to head coach, and she's the head coach of her first collegiate program.
Yeah, if anybody was going to take over this really successful Florida Tech program, Friels the perfect candidate for that. She's been with this team for a handful of years now, has a lot of experience coaching and playing at the Division I level with Auburn as well, and so she really was lined up to be in a perfect position here with Florida Tech.
Yeah, she's a former 2-time All-American with the Tigers. Was a volunteer assistant with Auburn as well for 3 years. Then had a stint playing professionally as well in the NWSL. Part of that All-American career. She's the career leader in Tigers women's soccer history in assists and points. Her 42 assists are 5th all-time in SEC history. So an outstanding player trying to become an outstanding coach in her first year with the Panthers, and she's undefeated so far.
Yeah, she's doing a good job here in her coaching debut in 2024. Yeah, like you said, undefeated on the season.
Certainly has to be a massive undertaking, because you pick up for a program that is kind of just maybe at the start of its ascent in the college soccer world. Certainly Florida Tech hopes that. Going to a Final Four last year, but that was the deepest run they had ever had. They did have a super regional appearance as well, but that was also under Ryan Moon, who was only there for 3 seasons. So the success that Florida Tech has not been historic, just in recent memory. So she's tasked with taking a program that is on its way up and keeping it in that direction. Kaylee Ralton doing similar things as of late with the Nighthawks. A little bit different when she took over they were not as successful, certainly, as Florida Tech or historically, and she has built them to some outstanding success in the last 5 seasons, a 44-18-8 record in that stretch. It's 5 seasons, 4 actual calendar years. The 2020 season of COVID was played in the spring of 2021, so they had 2 seasons in 1 calendar year, but 5 under the direction of Ralton. That was a good job by Allie Treadwell to bump Rebecca Storr off the ball after she bumped Clark off of it. So it's Watry to throw it in on the near side.
Yeah, you could really tell in these last 5 years, every single year that Coach Ralton has been at the helm of the UNG women's soccer program, this team has gotten better. Aside from that COVID season, they've been in the NCAA tournament every single year under Coach Ralton. And like I said, year by year, this team just gets better and better under her leadership.
Storr on the near side with a little bit of space. Watry trying to close the gap. The cross comes in. Treadwell heads it up. Clark waits for it, but stepping in was Omerad. Omerad in the pink shoes has it now. Fakes, turns. Good defense by Clark, and she pokes it out. It'll be a throw-in.
Yeah, Clark's only a second-year player on this, or a third-year player on this North Georgia team. She's a veteran on this squad who has a lot of experience, started essentially every single game last year, and she's just been sensational.
So we mentioned there were 2 big names not in the starting lineup for Florida Tech. Their lead returning goal scorer and their lead returning assister, Lauren Wood and Sarah Bachaji. Well, those are the 2 jerseys in white that you just saw step onto the field here in the 20th minute. Bachaji quickly throws it in. An attempted cross off the foot of Haregi is errant and out of bounds. So Lauren Wood, 11 goals last year, also added 3 assists. If you do quick math at home, that's 25 points. She had 60 shots, 32 of them on target, leading the Panthers last season in a bunch of those categories. She was not their lead goal scorer, but second on the team, which earned her all Sunshine State third-team honors.
Yeah, wasn't sure if we were going to see her in this game before the game started, and as she steps on, this is going to be a big task for Faith Bullied in goal for North Georgia, with Wood now on the field. Like you said, one of the leading goal scorers for this team last season. Nighthawks are going to have to find a way to try to contain her to keep this game leveled.
She does not have a goal yet this year, as far as we know. We don't know who scored in the Flagler game. Again, we believe they had 2 goals. We're not sure if that's true or who scored them. All we know is the 4 goals against Tiffin. 2 of them came from Haregi. Another one came from Alice Mottershead, a freshman out of Manchester, England. And Marta Yopis, the junior from Spain, had the other. So now a couple substitutions and a couple rookies stepping on for the Nighthawks, taking over for Chloe Diaz and Bailey Odinger are Blanca Cruz and Kamora Hall, 2 standout strikers for UNG early in the season. Hall had her first goal of her collegiate career on Wednesday against Young Harris. Blanca Cruz, the first PBC Women's Soccer Player of the Week with 2 goals in a road win against Limestone last Sunday, a week ago today. Aronoff has bumped off the ball. It'll be a set piece in the backfield for the Nighthawks.
Yeah, Cruz has had an incredible debut for North Georgia. First Nighthawk to record a brace in a game since Katie Durkay did that 5 years ago, and she's off to such a great start to her North Georgia career. Expect to hear a lot of Cruz in the coming years here on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
Olive trying to battle with Wood. She wins it as she keeps Wood away from the ball, and Aronoff puts it to Cruz in the middle. Nighthawks trying to shape. They have not had the offense today, and maybe that's why we see Cruz and Hall stepping on here in the first half, trying to increase the offensive production. Only 2 shots on goal so far, both of them from Adley Wheeler out of the midfield, and neither of them really a opportune chance, we should say. Schmidt-Sanchez Andrade goes back to the keeper, Sinkler. Now gets it. Weaves past Nina Lopez. Now that pass intercepted by Aronoff. It's off the foot of Haregi. Olive with it. Trying to run past Savannah Oxley. Tried to get it to Hall and couldn't, and now the Panthers with it back the other way. Up the sideline, it stays in and goes back to Fruits. 21 minutes and about 40 seconds left here in this first half. Still scoreless from Dahlonega, and they're going to get a handball. Crowd jumped in to make that call before the official. It's off of Lauren Wood, and the Nighthawks quickly put it back in play.
Yeah, good eye here from the Nighthawk faithful. Catch that call.
Decent Sunday crowd on this typical NFL Sunday now that the NFL season has started. Cross in the box. Still not a Nighthawk quite in the area to get it on her foot. Arnoff does cut it off, though. Still in danger territory if you're the Panthers, and no longer.
Hall did a great job, cutting that one into the box, and coming off the bench for North Georgia in these first few games of the season. She's really provided some firepower off of Coach Ralton's bench through these first few games or so.
Lopez received the throw-in, battling for it with Wood. She's double-teamed, and it's taken away. With it is Tobin. Up for Wood now. Wood went forward and just let it go out of bounds. Not sure if she was expecting Haregi to go chase it down. But it's a Nighthawk throw-in. Windy day here in Dahlonega. Likely you can hear it on our crowd microphone. We expected the weather to arguably be worse this weekend both days. We had the men's game yesterday against Lincoln Memorial. So 2 soccer games this weekend in Dahlonega. Hurricane season has started, and there was an expectation in the forecast that some of the rains from Hurricane Francine would make their way north. It's really just been overcast gray skies. This is the sunniest it's been in about 48 hours in Dahlonega.
Yeah, Florida Tech definitely, they were banking on no rain here in the Gold City, especially after having that game against Flagler canceled at halftime. They definitely wanted to get this game in against North Georgia, a top 25 team in the country, to prove themselves.
Watry slides to direct it to Wheeler. She goes back to Treadwell, and the Nighthawks will try to work the far side now and get away from the strong attacking front of the Panthers. The interesting thing about the way the rankings work is it's kind of a win-win situation for the Panthers, but also lose-lose for the Nighthawks. You ask the coaching staff, the reason they wanted this game is because they figured it would be a top 25 game against the team that went to the Final Four last year in Florida Tech, and they were right in the preseason. The Panthers get ranked number 3, but the regionalization of it is that each region, the coaches gather and they vote on the top 10 within that region. And typically, only the top 3 from a region are going to make it into the top 25. And the preseason is based off of last year's results. Florida Tech, number 3 in the country, understandably. But then the week 1 poll, the coaches within the regions can decide, do we want to base our voting on week 1 purely off of week 1 in 2024 or a little bit off of last week's poll, the preseason, and of what we saw in 2023. That's decided by region. It's not mandated by the United Soccer's Coaches Association. So the South region, as we can speculate based on Florida Tech being out of the top 25, decided to go with a clean slate from week 1, and that week 1 for Florida Tech was only 1 game. Almost everybody else in the region played 2. It was against Tiffin, who's not a standout team from Ohio. It was at home, and it was a 4-1 win. They didn't get that second game against Flagler until after the week. So based on that, it looks like the coaches voted based on week 1 and week 1's results only, and there were 3 other teams in the South better than Florida Tech, thus dropping them out of the top 25. Wood with it, steps into the box, turns, fires, and deflected by Treadwell before it can get to the net. It'll be a corner kick on the far side for the Panthers, their second of the day.
And North Georgia's going to have plenty of opportunities this season to prove themselves against ranked opponents. Like we said in the opener, they have 3 more top 25 matchups on the horizon for them against Catawba, Clayton State, Lenore-Ryan, a top 3 team in the country. It's going to come later in the season for North Georgia. So they've got their opportunities to show what they're made of against some of the best programs in the country here during this regular season.
Yeah, but you can argue that Florida Tech is not the 26th best team in the country. If they were 3rd in the preseason, there's no way they fall 23 spots after a 4-1 win as the corner quickly sails over the head of Alice Mottershead. So the Nighthawks avoid a set piece again. So the reason it's a win-win for Florida Tech is you go on the road, you face a top 25 in North Georgia, who's number 22. No matter what, if you lose, okay, you lost to a top 25 team on the road. If you win, heck, you beat a top 25 team on the road. That's an impressive win. For the Nighthawks, it's kind of a lose-lose because they wanted this to be a top 25 game. Because the South region decided to go based on Week 1's results only when they voted, it's no longer a top 25 game for them. So if they lose, they're not losing to a top 25 team. Everybody else will know, and the NCAA committee will know if it factors into their rankings in the NCAA tournament. They will know that Florida Tech is obviously a very good team, but that top 25 ranking does matter to a certain degree.
Yeah, on paper, if North Georgia is able to come away with the win, like you said, it's not coming against a technical top 25 ranked opponent, but Florida Tech, they definitely have the makings of a top 25 team in the country, and that's just great, morally for North Georgia if they're able to come away with the win because they know, hey, we beat one of these top programs, and not just the Southeast, but in the entire country once that comes to later on in the season when they have to face some really, really tough opponents here in the next few weeks.
Watry halted Bachaji in her tracks, but it was retreated to Omerad. Now Lopez with a takeaway at midfield, looking up for Hall. Sliding stop there by Schmidt-Sanchez Andrade. Olive still with it on a run on the far side. Nighthawks looking for their first real chance. Olive double-teamed, pushed over, no whistle. Hall tries to take it, out of bounds. It stays with the blue and white for a throw-in. 15 minutes left in our first half.
This is a good opportunity here for North Georgia with the throw-in near their goal here. Try to make something happen as we wind down here in this first half.
Hall trying to post up 3 defenders for Florida Tech. It's to Lopez. Lopez to Wheeler in the middle. Wheeler with a little bit of space. She fires. It's up and over the goal, too high. Adley Wheeler with her 3rd shot of the day, the first one that is off target. And Florida Tech escapes that possession. They will sub off Jimena Haregi in favor of the junior from Stockholm, Sweden, Nora Oldmark, the transfer from Azusa Pacific all the way out in California.
And that's about the 2nd or 3rd try that Wheeler has had from that almost same exact spot there where she has the space to take the shot. Just that one off the mark there, but she has had her opportunities so far in this first half.
Bachaji forward for Omerad. Watry there. Omerad, a couple dribble moves, still going. Slices to the right, and a bad pass is intercepted by Treadwell as she stepped in front. Blanca Cruz, we haven't called her name much, and we will here as that's a foul on her. Incorrect. The foul was called back before the ball got up to Cruz, so Treadwell starts the set piece and just quickly puts it in. Blanca Cruz out of Snellville, Georgia. Shiloh High School, where she was just an elite goal scorer there. Over 100 goals and 30 assists in her high school career at Shiloh.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised to see Cruz, even in her freshman season, dominating here with North Georgia.
Kamora Hall gets whistled for the foul, and she will get a talking to as well, as she does not like the call. Looks like it's going to be Oldmark to take it. I think that's actually, as she turns a little bit more, Helga Daughter. That is, as she sends it in over the head of Fruits and off the foot of Omerad to the far side. Mottershead taken away by Olive. Aronoff forward for Lopez and Hall. Hall is the one who retrieves it. She finds Wheeler in the middle. Now a little bit of green grass for Wheeler. She sends Cruz on a run. Cruz goes. Sinkler's way out off her line. Cruz trying to get there, and Sinkler, patient, meets it at the tip of the box and scoops it up a step before Blanca Cruz could meet it.
Yeah, Sinkler coming far out from the box there to make the play, and that could have been dangerous for Florida Tech.
It was a well-timed run and a good pass from Wheeler on the connection with Cruz. Just, like we said, a step or two too slow. Watry quickly into Lopez. Lopez had it taken away. Dina Lopez, another standout freshman. She's got 2 goals, 4 points total already, ties the team lead with Blanca Cruz. this season. 2 freshmen standing atop the statistical categories early for the Nighthawks. And it looks like Kimora Hall has been given a yellow card. That's Hall's first yellow card of her career. And Kaylee Ralton asking for an explanation on the far sideline.
Yeah, Hall may have been just a little too aggressive with the contact there to pick up the yellow. But the Nighthawk faithful here not too happy with that call from the ref.
Hall certainly not afraid to voice her opinion if we've learned anything about her early. A very, very talented striker for the Nighthawks. A 3-time national champion at the club level in her high school age days with FC Dallas. She plays with a lot of emotion, a lot of energy, and the Nighthawks need some of that right now. Wood had it taken away by Clark into the middle. Fruits forward for Hall, and she wasn't quite ready for it. Backpedaling, it goes over her head and out of bounds.
Yeah, Hall is a 3-time national champion with FC Dallas. She knows what it takes to win, and she's trying to get North Georgia back to the glory days as well.
Up for Matter's head, and Aronoff beats her to it and just punches it out. Now a Nighthawk throw-in. We're nearly under 10 minutes in the first half, and what's been a back-and-forth battle between a pair of top 26 teams in the nation. Florida Tech, after this, it does not get any easier. While they're up north, they are going to continue north. They've got Lenore Rhine for their next game. Back-to-back top 25 matchups for the Panthers. Lenore Rhine in the latest poll, moving all the way up to number 3 in the country. Started the season at number 8. Matter's head with a run on the far side. She's closed in on by 2 defenders, and her chip shot right into the chest of Faith Bullied. And Bullied solid still.
Yeah, Lenore Ryan coming in and stealing the position that Florida Tech had in the preseason at number 3. That matchup could have potentially been, top 10, maybe even top 5 once that matchup came around, had Florida Tech maintained their position.
And Bullied trying to get away, dives on it, and just before Wood could get there, Bullied comes up big again.
Yeah, it's definitely not how you wanted that situation to work out if you were North Georgia, but Bullied does a good job working on the fly there to just dive on top of that ball.
Hall with it in the midfield right on the near sideline. Poked away by Bachaji. So Lenore Ryan moved up to number 3 from number 8 after a 4-1 win on the road against UNC Pembroke. They opened their season against the Braves, as did the Nighthawks. That was here at home, though, for UNG. Since then, they tied 1-1 with number 12 Lee. And just yesterday, they tied 1-1 with the Rail Splitters of Lincoln Memorial. So we'll see how much that affects Lenore Ryan's rankings in the next poll, which will come out on Tuesday, mid-afternoon. Megan O'Brien freshly subbed in and getting cheers from the bench as she pressures the ball there, going against Daniela Tobin. Fruits for Clark. Clark with a little bit of room, trying to weave through the defense. She does. Still has it on her foot to Olive. Olive a couple dribbles, trying to find a crossing spot. She couldn't get a good angle as it's deflected off the goal, or off the goal line, I should say, and it'll be a corner kick for UNG. The first of the game, and it looks like Alexa Aronoff is going to retrieve the ball to take it.
This is where you got to capitalize here if you're North Georgia. Haven't really had a lot of opportunities outside of Wheeler so far in this first half. We'll see if they can make something happen here on their first corner of the game.
6 near the box for the Nighthawks. Aronoff quickly gets it in. Wheeler looking for a cross, sends one in, and right to Sinkler. The closest Nighthawks were O'Brien and Treadwell. Neither could get there, and Caitlin Sinkler collects that one.
North Georgia still without a shot inside the box so far throughout this first half. All of them have been from a good ways out. Clark, like Wheeler, did have a good look, but still that one unable to find the back of the net.
You have to give credit to Sinkler, who has had prime positioning all day so far on the few chances that the Nighthawks have had. She's been in the exact right spot every time.
Yeah, she really hasn't had to move too much. Most of these shots going right into the breadbasket for her.
That's Fruits, who was kind of double-teamed by the forwards. The ball quickly thrown in. Fruits still battling, and a whistle. That's a foul against Florida Tech. So it'll be a free kick that goes against Nora Oldmark. So Fruits boots it forward.
That was a good job by Fruits just to cut off the play there. That could have easily have led to a potential corner kick for Florida Tech.
Olive crossing the field, trying to find Clark. She sends Clark on a run. Clark trying to get there, and she will not beat Sinkler to it yet again. Caitlin Sinkler just on top of everything, anchoring a strong back line that was not the highlight of this team last year, but did play well. Averaged 0.9 goals allowed per game, a solid mark that led them to the Final Four a season ago. Omerad weaving around in an errant pass on a miscommunication with Lydia Carroll means it'll be Nighthawk ball. Watry throw it in along the sideline to Cruz. Header back to Lopez. Lopez turned and had a chance, and it looked like immediately going down with an injury was Clara Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade, and the trainers are going to come out quickly. That did not look good. Lopez would have had an opportunity to maybe get a shot on goal had Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade not been there, but as soon as she touched that ball, immediately went down, and even Nina Lopez, who was right there, knew better than to continue playing. She could tell right away that this was perhaps serious, and the trainers are out. The whole team, all the Panthers, circled around Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade right now, and we will not show you the huddle for privacy and medical reasons.
And she went down and grabbed her left knee right away on that play, and the referees and the team, they wasted no time in calling out the medical staff to go check on her. Fingers crossed that she's all right.
Head coach Katie Friels is going to come out and check on her freshman. Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade, a defender on this team, one of the few freshmen who plays valuable minutes for them. We've said her name a couple times today. And so far, the back line for Florida Tech has held up and not allowed too many chances for the Nighthawks. And part of that is due to Clara Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade. Native of Heidelberg, Germany, one of the three players we mentioned from Germany. Clock is stopped at 5:48, still 0-0 our score. Certainly does not seem like a good scene. Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade being helped up now by her athletic trainer and her teammates. She's going to be helped off the field as well. And honestly, Robert, she's walking off under more of her own power than I expected after the way this stoppage originally started. She is being helped by a teammate and her trainer, but that is at least a positive sign.
Absolutely, and, obviously don't know what the injury is. Saw her grab her knee, and, you never want to see a knee injury like that. You never know what it could be, and like you said, her walking off on her own power off the field here is definitely a great sign to see if you are Florida Tech.
So both teams convening on the sideline during the stoppage. They will both come back out now. And certainly we can only hope that Clara Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade is okay and can be back sooner rather than later in what's her first collegiate season with Florida Tech. So we'll see. It looks like it's going to be a Florida Tech throw-in on the near side. Even if it's technically supposed to be Nighthawks ball, I suspect North Georgia will just give it right back to the Panthers, and then we will resume.
Yeah, like you said, North Georgia, they could have taken over there if they wanted to on the injury, decided not to, and a good play there from North Georgia.
So coming in for the injured Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade is Sophia Posner, as we mentioned earlier, Delray Beach, Florida native, the transfer from East Florida State College, NJCAA national runner-up last year. So Watry will throw it in. It appears the Nighthawks are not going to just give it right back to Florida Tech here. Oh, never mind. They go right to Sinkler. And the Panthers will resume play now. Bachaji finds Omarad in the middle. Omarad pressured. Lopez was in the area but couldn't take it. That's from Taubin forward to Posner, fresh into the game. Into the middle, now up for Wood. Wood a touch to the middle as she steps away. Treadwell cuts it off, moves it forward now. O'Brien, far side Clark. Nighthawks with some good passing, but Clark missed touches and it's bounced off her heel. Taken away by Mottershead for a second. Aronoff and Mottershead battle. North Georgia throw-in on the far side. Under 5 to play in this first half. A goal anytime between now and the halftime break would be critical for this game.
With how this matchup has played out, you got to think if somebody does score here in this first half, they're probably going into the locker room with the lead with how these defenses have played so far.
And the volley for possession on the far side goes to the Panthers, a throw in there. And now a North Georgia throwing, and I think we're in the middle of this game where we'll battle back and forth on the sidelines for a couple throws. See who can punch it out and change the shape of the field. Looks like maybe Florida Tech here. With it going the other way, Taubin, and a good stop on an intended pass forward. Now the ball does find its way forward. Olive there to shield Bullied, and she does so well as Posner closed, but Bullied got it, and it's up for Aronoff.
That was a nice job by Olive to not overcorrect there, just let the ball get back to Bullied to make a play.
And to stay out of the way herself so that Bullied could get it. Still a chance here. Wood trying to find a cross. She stops, dribbles into the box. Wood with it on the right foot. Deflected by Fruits. Loose and now in favor of the Nighthawks. Lopez turns and clears it. O'Brien will try to change possession. She does as it's kicked out of bounds by the back line and stays with North Georgia. Scary sight there. Seeing the ball on Lauren Wood's foot just outside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, it's exactly the last player that North Georgia wants to see with a ball in the position like that, and they do a good job of containing her there.
Treadwell's throw in, and a couple hands up on both sidelines. Not happy with the call. O'Brien with a nice move now. She's still on a run, and a slide tackle sends it out of bounds for a UNG throw-in. That tackle made there by Lydia Carroll to save another opportunity for the Nighthawks. 6 shots for Florida Tech, 4 of them on goal. 4 shots for the Nighthawks, 3 of them on goal. O'Brien tries to turn, had a little bit of room, but it's taken away by Carroll. A great challenge there by Lydia Carroll to steal possession from Megan O'Brien, who had plenty of space had she been able to turn the corner. Nighthawks still have it in pressure territory. Watry tried to send it forward to Wheeler, a touch too strong, and it's controlled there the other way by Oldmark, and a foul on the Nighthawks.
Yeah, that play just a few moments ago, that could have easily resulted in a corner opportunity from O'Brien, but a good job by Florida Tech to cut that one off.
Clark for Olive. 2 touches, and it's forward to Lopez. Lopez turns, fires one on the ground, and just scooting away to Sinkler's right, it sails past the goal. You get Nina Lopez anywhere outside that box, in the midfield or on the near side to her right foot, and you have to be ready for anything.
Yeah, Nina Lopez, like Blanca Cruz, nobody's surprised to see her flourishing here at North Georgia. Was named the Player of the Year multiple times by multiple different outlets in high school. So, the fact that she is dominating here with North Georgia through these first couple of games is really no surprise to anyone.
Florida Tech wanted a handball off O'Brien. They don't get it. It's up for Wood in the middle. 65 seconds left in the first half. Florida Tech turning up the dial on the pressure meter. But the Nighthawks have it now going back the other way. Clark stumbles as she tried to stop and turn. And a whistle on Clark will halt the ball as the clock continues to tick. 46 seconds now. Lopez, 34 goals, 36 assists at Edgewood High School in her career there. State runner-up as a junior. 49-4-1 career record. Just a proven winner at Edgewood down there in Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah, Coach Ralton has really retooled her roster this year after losing a lot of veteran talent. She brings in a lot of young talent who has seen so much success during their high school careers.
11 seconds left. Last chance of the half for Florida Tech. Omarad trying to come in. Watry sends it back to the midfield, and that should do it for the first half as Bachaji just sends it up into the air. Neither team able to find the back of the net after 45 minutes. The Panthers 0, the Nighthawks 0, and a highlight matchup around the world of college soccer here on this Sunday afternoon. Glad you could be here with us. Hopefully you stick around for the final 45. Should be a good one if it's anything like the first. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for the second half here on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
All right, show me how you did that again. I'm here.
You've got a lot of reasons to be here.
I'm here.
That's why we're here. At Georgia Heart Institute, our breakthroughs in artificial intelligence could accurately model and predict future heart problems decades in advance, so you can make plans today to be just where you're needed tomorrow.
Oh, I'm here.
The future of heart care. We're leading Georgia there. Georgia Heart Institute.
The road to national championships runs through NCAA.com. And whether you follow one college team or all of them, it's never been easier to get the content you want with NCAA.com, the home of college sports.
At the heart of America's gold rush stands a beacon of leadership, tradition, and excellence. A university that has always led the way, forging an environment for broad-based academics, world-class athletics, and tomorrow's military leaders. The University of North Georgia. Learning and leadership, passion and preparation, transformation and tradition. We are the University of North Georgia.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by the Northeast Georgia Health System, the official healthcare partner of UNG Athletics. Bryan Properties, serving all your commercial real estate needs. Dahlonega Resort and Vineyard, escape to the North Georgia mountains for your next weekend getaway. Achasta, golf, community, and tranquility. Coca-Cola, the official sideline provider for North Georgia Athletics. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to beautiful Lynn Cottrell Park. The UNG soccer field, the site for today's top 26 matchup is what we're calling it. Florida Tech receiving the most votes of anybody outside the top 25. The Nighthawks number 22 in the country. So it's 22 versus 26 effectively. And it's scoreless after 45 minutes. Let's take a look at the first half stats for both of these squads. Shots category a little bit closer than you would expect for how much Florida Tech dominated the opportunities. I feel like North Georgia had a couple shots on goal, Robert, but the Panthers had better shots on goal and closer opportunities. So you see them, they lead the shots category by a goal. Same thing for shots on goal. Faith bullied, though. Starting for the injured Sierra Fowler, her fourth start of her career, only played 34 minutes prior to Wednesday's second half against Young Harris. She's got 4 saves today. She's been really good. The one punch save early in the game has to be the highlight of the day so far.
Absolutely. She's really been the standout performance here for North Georgia in this one. You know, you're missing Sierra Fowler in this matchup, one of the best goalkeepers in not just the PBC, but you could argue one of the best goalkeepers in all of Division II women's soccer. You're without her today, so you insert Faith Bullied into the lineup. And like you said, not a lot of experience, not only this season, but just in general, this being her 4th start and definitely the biggest of her career so far here at North Georgia. And she's been up to the test against a high-powered Florida Tech offense. We know that they were one of the best offenses last year, and, you know, not a lot to base off them this year, this just being their second full game, only played a game and a half so far this season. And she's really been up to the challenge here. Like you said, had that great punching save earlier in the first half and a couple of diving saves onto the ground here for North Georgia. And if she can keep up the play from the first half like she did here in the second half, then North Georgia is going to be in good shape.
We've kind of seen the age-old question come to fruition. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? The unstoppable force of Florida Tech's attackers has met the immovable object of North Georgia's back line, and I guess what you would hypothesize, nothing has happened so far. 0-0. This game has gone like we've expected, and just nobody's been able to find the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, both teams have had their opportunities. North Georgia's had a couple of good looks on goal. They've just been a little bit farther out than they probably would have liked. Wheeler had a couple of opportunities in that first half. We saw Clark towards the end of the first get a good opportunity to try to find the back of the net. They just really haven't been able to push very deep into this back line here for Florida Tech. And if they can find some more opportunities here in this second half, try to break through and be the first to score in this game, this will be a great quality win for North Georgia if they're able to come up with it.
The back line has been really strong for Florida Tech today so far, but they did have the injury to Clara Schmidt-Sanchez-Andrade, the freshman who went down, undetermined whether we'll see her in the second half. Based on what we saw in the injury and during that moment, unlikely that we see her again in the second half. So that's going to mean that Florida Tech's going to have to shore up that back line. They substituted a forward on for her in Sophia Posner. Excuse me, that was actually Lydia Carroll, a defender who did still come in on the back line for them. But so they're going to have to deal without one of their starting defenders for the remainder of the second half, likely is what we expect.
Absolutely. It's tough to see a starter go down like that. And, we had Lauren Wood coming into this game late, too, for Florida Tech. So they're with a couple of new faces here in this game, in this lineup. And, it's definitely put their head coach, to the test here, trying to go into deeper into her bench maybe than she would have liked to see what works and what doesn't in this matchup. And, surprised to see this game tied at 0-0 just from how high-powered these two offenses are. We know North Georgia from years past has had a really high-powered offense in the Peach Belt Conference. Florida Tech, they were one of the final few teams remaining last season. Obviously, they have a very high-powered offense, and so, we may see a little bit more action here in the second half as the stakes get a little bit higher for these two squads, but so far it's been a great defensive game between these two teams.
Been a busy weekend in the PBC so far. Still not at conference play yet, so all the teams around the league getting some action. Columbus State, a 4-1 win over Embry-Riddle. Columbus State moved up to number 17 in the country in the Week 1 poll. They take down Embry-Riddle, who was also receiving votes in the Week 1 poll towards the back end of it, but a solid Embry-Riddle team that's usually in the top 5 of that South region. Albany State also picked up a win over Allen University. Lander, 2-0 win over Lee, who was a top 25 team in Week 1. And that's a big win for them as well. Georgia Southwestern picks up a win over Bruton Parker. Georgia College. So the PBC had a really strong start to the weekend. Then USC Aiken lost to Middle Georgia. USC Beaufort picked up a strong win over number 21 in the country, Lynn. That was down there in Boca Raton, Florida as well. USC Beaufort, the Sand Sharks, big-time win there, beating Lynn, a top 25 team.
Absolutely. That's a big momentum boost for USC Beaufort, especially going into PBC play, which is coming up next week for these schools. You want to try to build up as much momentum and as much morale as you can going into conference play. And taking out a top 25 team, that's definitely a strong start for USC Beaufort to begin this season before they head into conference play here pretty soon.
And so then today so far, 3 games in the PBC. This, North Georgia and Florida Tech being the last one. The first 2 games earlier today, Clayton State tied with Rollins, another school out of the Sunshine State Conference down there in Florida. Flagler took down West Florida 2-1 as well. So Flagler did finish a game. That against the Argonauts of West Florida, a 2-1 win for them. This would be really big for the Nighthawks if they could find a way to win this game. There's been some other big wins around the PBC, and they certainly want to keep up with that trend.
Absolutely, and especially with that tie, Clayton State tying 1-1 against Rollins College, and with both of those teams being top 25 programs, you want to kind of establish yourself as one of the best teams in the nation going forward into Peach Belt Conference play. And, depending on the outcome of this game, for North Georgia, they could potentially move up higher in the rankings if they're able to come away with the win, setting up some really exciting matchups coming forward in the Peach Belt Conference season for these PBC schools. We may see a top 25 matchup between North Georgia and Clayton State pretty soon here.
We'll see what happens in the remainder of this second half here in Dahlonega. Just a few moments away. Stick around. We'll be back in a few moments here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Back here in Dahlonega, 0-0 our score. If you missed the first half, you didn't miss much. 11 shots total, 6 of them belong to Florida Tech, 5 to the Nighthawks. As we mentioned in the halftime break, Florida Tech maybe objectively, or subjectively I should say, a couple better chances, couple closer opportunities, but Faith bullied. Starting for the injured Sierra Fowler, strong in net. Nighthawks going against just a strong team all around, but the attacking front for Florida Tech has been really good and held the ball. They probably, if we were to track it, Florida Tech would probably be winning the time of possession battle. But the Nighthawks have had a couple opportunities. We'll see who can break through, if either can, here in the second half.
Yeah, we definitely saw Sinkler in that first half. She didn't really have to move too far out of her position to make those saves against North Georgia. Bully definitely having to make a few more effort plays than Sinkler has, diving on the turf to jump on top of the ball. And it's been a great performance from these two goalkeepers so far through these first 45 minutes. And with how this game has gone and the implications of this, like we mentioned in that first half, this is supposed to be a top 25 matchup between these two teams. You definitely don't want to leave the UNG soccer field at a tie. Both of these teams going to try to do everything they can here in the second half to break through on the scoreboard.
So Sam Cottle, the freshman from LaGrange, Georgia, getting the start in the second half off the bench for Kaylee Ralton. Cottle had her first collegiate goal of her career and first of likely many against Young Harris on Wednesday. That's Wheeler, quickly tried to go to Cottle, but it's intercepted, and quickly going back the other way, Daniela Taubin. Clark stops that one. Chasing after Clark is Alice Mottershead, the freshman. So Cottle, her first goal on Wednesday against Young Harris in that 7-0 win. She's pretty much the only new face out of the halftime starting lineup. Everybody else we've seen start the first half. Cottle, the freshman, leads the Nighthawks in shots on goal so far already with 5 out of her 7 shots. She's a very strong striker out of LaGrange High School, where she had a good career.
Absolutely. She had very strong foot over there at LaGrange, 60 goals, also had 30 assists as well. Really a do-it-all player in high school.
So an early corner kick for Florida Tech. Mottershead will take it. Looks like she's got Oldmark over there with her. She'll just send it in, head it up. Lopez got it up in the air to keep it away. And then Cottle sent it to the near sideline. Not really any Panthers in the area. And now a goal kick. That one was booted away by Hala Helgadottir.
That was a really smart play by Lopez just to get that one out of there. Bullied was slightly farther to the left there, leaving a lot of the goal wide open, and just a good job by this North Georgia back line again to contain Florida Tech on that possession.
So right now the story of the game has been bend but don't break, it feels like, for the back line for the Nighthawks. The pressure has just been bubbling in Florida Tech's attacking third, but hasn't resulted in a goal yet. Whistle there. Foul on Daniela Taubin. So Lopez quickly sets it and fires. Headed for Odinger, but too far towards the midfield. Treadwell trying to sneak in there, and incidental contact results in a foul, as it was Jimena Haregi who went down. Looked like it was going to be Katie Omerod instead. Daniela Taubin starts the play. Watry stops it there. She stumbles, trying to get back to the ball. Now with a little bit of space. And sliding there, bullied. Florida Tech wants a whistle. They don't get it. It will be a goal kick. That was Marta Yopis and Daniela Tabin in on the play.
Yeah, a couple of Panthers with their hands up in the air wanted the call. That could have easily and potentially been a good opportunity there for Florida Tech to take their first lead, but a good job by Bully. Just, again, another diving save there from her.
Right in front of the bench was where that battle took place, and North Georgia is going to get a throw in.
These first few minutes are going to be really telling between these two teams. You've had the 15 minutes off to rest your legs, and you want to come out the halftime gates here pretty strong. And
Lopez with some space, up for Odinger on a run. Chance for the Nighthawks. Odinger fires. She scores! Bailey Odinger just inside the box, and the Nighthawks pounce on their first opportunity of the second half. Take a look again. Lopez turned and found some space. So much green grass, a beautiful pass to Odinger. And Robert, she just did not hesitate. Uncorked one right over Caitlin Sinkler.
Yeah, she was not fazed by that at all. Just absolutely let it fly there on the shot. A beautiful one at that end. Like we said, these first few minutes are going to be telling, and North Georgia off to a great start here in the first 5 minutes.
A 49th minute goal for UNG, the first of the contest. Nighthawks take a 1-0 lead over Florida Tech. Quickly, Marta Yopis trying to come back the other way for the Panthers and answer. But Chaji had it now. Yopis just inside the box. She's defended by Watry. Yopis turning, looking, still with it. Watry challenging and winning. It's Cottle. Now Lopez. Forward for Cottle. Strong touch. Nighthawks have a 2-on-2, but it's booted away there by Hala Helgadottir. So Bailey Odinger, who got her first UNG goal, the transfer from Lipscomb. She scored against Young Harris on Wednesday. She gets her second now. Ties the team lead with Lopez and Cruz for goals. Robert, that was one thing I believe you and Devin Kupka talked about on Wednesday in the Young Harris match, the goal distribution for the Nighthawks. A number of different players scoring for them already this season.
Absolutely. It's definitely translated over from last year where we saw 17 different Nighthawks score a goal last year. 17 of 22 who saw the field last season for North Georgia scored a goal. It's just the distribution on this team is really something special. There's not really one specific player that opponents can really hone in on and say, okay, this is the player that we have to contain because another Nighthawk's going to make you pay.
So now, can the back line for UNG hold tough as the Nighthawks cling to this 1-0 lead right now? Ball has stayed in the Florida Tech attacking half ever since the goal, pretty much. Aregi trying to dribble around the defense. Treadwell gets there and cuts it off. Forward, Cottle let it go by. It's scooped up by Helgadottir and sent back the opposite direction. Now Fruits plays that game. Looked like Cottle and Odinger weren't quite aware of each other's positions. They were both on that ball and neither got it. Watry quickly throws it in over Cottle's head. Switch to the near side. Odinger nearly cut that pass off. She would have been alone in on goal. It'll be a UNG throw-in right in front of the home fans here at the UNG soccer field at Lynn Cottrell Park. They've been loud all season. Quality crowd today on a Sunday. If you're watching at home, glad you could be here with us. Brendan Shabath, Robert DiClementi bringing you this one on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Off of Cottle's hip and out. Quickly tossing it in is Matter's head. Aregi had it taken away by Aronoff. She retreats. Aregi there, but Fruits sends it back the other way safely. Cottle tried to turn off of Helgadottir and couldn't. Nighthawk throwing. Cottle quickly for Odinger. Sends it to the corner. And Odinger couldn't quite get there. And she gets called for the contact on the hip and a foul and back the other way.
And no one really surprised also to see Odinger flourishing here with North Georgia. Transfer from Lipscomb, very accurate scorer. She only took 4 shots, but she had 2 goals off of those 4 shots last year. Very accurate. All 4 of those shots were on goal as well.
Lipscomb, a Division I school in Nashville, not too far north from here in Dahlonega. She spent her first 2 years there, played 19 games total with Lipscomb. But Odinger, a native of Roswell, so she's back in her home state, playing for UNG this year. She actually came in the spring after the 2023 season, and that one's in off the head of Savannah Oxley. Looked like it was going to be wide, but Florida Tech equalizes on a daring cross. Savannah Oxley, her first goal of the season. We'll see it here again. Off the left foot, Oxley got her head on it right before the Nighthawk defender. Looked like that might have been Fruits or Aronoff trying to come in late and stop it and just couldn't. So now tied at 1. And Odinger with a chance. It's over her head, though, on the cross from Olive. So Florida Tech not taking long to equalize in this game.
Yeah, you kind of figured that they were going to bounce back quickly here. One of the highest-powered offenses in the country last season. They weren't going to go down quietly, and just like that, the game can change in an instant. Tied back up at 1-1. Both of these offenses have really come alive here in the second half, though.
So we didn't have a goal for the first 49 minutes. And then we get 2 in a matter of 5 minutes. 48-50 is when Odinger's goal was listed. 53-22 when Oxley gets hers. Katie Omerod credited with the assist on that beautiful cross into the box. Watry quickly throws it in, far side, Odinger. Odinger with a good touch, too strong. Had some space. She had Cottle and Clark in the area for a cross, but not to be.
It's kind of similar to what we see from North Georgia men's soccer, where, you know, they will score a goal. We've seen that a couple times this season where they've scored a goal and then just immediately just kind of had that momentum snatched away by the opponent, and North Georgia couldn't celebrate that Odinger goal for very long after Florida Tech quickly tied that one up.
So now throwing on the far side. Bachaji is going to take this one. Savannah Oxley, the scorer for Florida Tech out of Melbourne, Florida. Same hometown as UNG forward Nina Lopez. She was a all-SSC third-team selection last year in the Sunshine State Conference. 5 goals, 2 assists a season ago. Helga Daughter forward. Slight opportunity, but Michael Fruits gets there before Marta Yopis can. Haregi had a chance to turn, couldn't. Oxley again, and a Nighthawk throw-in. Cottle tried to turn off of Rebecca Storr and couldn't. Lopez in the middle, 3 around her. She finds Wheeler now. Wheeler with some pace. Nighthawks with numbers. More blue jerseys than white. Odinger on a run. They want the offsides call. Odinger trying to dribble past Sinkler. She's tripped up. Caitlin Sinkler cuts it off. Bailey Odinger with a prime opportunity but couldn't release it. Almost too patient, and we're still level at 1.
Yeah, like I said, that, you know, almost could have been an offsides call, but Odinger committed to the play there and almost came away with a good opportunity there as the goalkeeper for Florida Tech was a bit farther out there from her position than Florida Tech would have liked.
That's been probably the best opportunity today that the Nighthawks have had, even better than their goal that was scored by Odinger. Cottle, if that ball stays in, she's in a dangerous spot and just a step late again. It squeaks out. It is off of a Panther, though. So it stays a Nighthawk throw-in on the edge of the attacking third. Goes to Lopez. Cottle ahead forward. Lopez not there. Bachaji gets it up for Omerad. Omerad with some space now. With pace, Omerad across midfield. Cuts back to the middle. And taken away by Lopez and tripped up. Foul called against the Panthers. Great tackle by Nina Lopez to halt the run for the Panthers. Alice Mottershead was streaking down the near side of the field. She was going to get the ball from Omerad probably half a second after Lopez got there. But Nina Lopez, the freshman, halts that chance.
Yeah, you could have seen Mottershead. She had nothing but green grass in front of her there, and that was a bit of a missed opportunity here for Florida Tech, but a great job again by this North Georgia defense to contain Florida Tech there on that play.
Wheeler taken away by Yopis. Bachaji on the far side with a little bit of room to work. And checked there by Kat Watry. Bachaji quickly reaches for her chest, and I think a yellow card here. That is going against Florida Tech. Couldn't exactly see who that was over there. And it was Savannah Oxley, the goal scorer for Florida Tech, I believe, getting a yellow on that challenge. A little too much contact. So it is confirmed in the scorecard, Oxley with the yellow card. That's just our second of the game. The first went to the Nighthawks in Kimura Hall. Deep ball intended for Lopez and Cottle. Sinkler's way off her line. It's not in the box. Lopez trying to get there. She couldn't cut it off, though. Bachaji poked away by Olive and out of bounds.
Yeah, with how these defenses have played in this game, a very gritty matchup between these two teams. They've played very clean throughout this one. Like I said, just the second yellow thrown in this game, and it's been a clean game so far.
We mentioned Lauren Wood, who did not start this game for the Panthers. Taken away by Cottle and a whistle. Nighthawk fans cannot believe it. The foul called on Sam Cottle, the freshman, will reset the direction. Quickly to the midfield, it goes to Omerad. She tries to turn off of Lopez. Just finishing that thought on Lauren Wood. She had a bunch of yellow cards last year. 5 to be exact, actually 6, excuse me, to be exact, which was 10th in all of NCAA. She's got 1 so far this year. It's been a clean game for the most part on both sides.
You definitely want to keep Lauren Wood in this game, the best striker for Florida Tech this season. She's somebody that has to stay on the field if you're the Panthers in this matchup.
Lopez, Aronoff has a little bit of space. Mottershead challenging. Aronoff gets by her. Slowly to the middle. Wheeler finds it. Far side, Olive, plenty of room. Bachaji going over to challenge. Olive pauses. Forward to Watry. Watry just outside the box, trying to turn. She's battling there with Tobin, and Tobin wins it away. Bachaji now to Omerad, and a yellow card now against Darby Olive. For some contact on the far side. Darby Olive, one of 2 captains on this Nighthawk team, cannot believe the call.
Like we mentioned with Lauren Wood, can't afford to lose her if you're Florida Tech. On the opposite side from North Georgia, can't afford to lose one of your captains in Darby Olive. You can definitely feel the tensions have gotten a little bit higher here in this second half.
So it's just retreated to the back line for Florida Tech. shot there. Bullied is ready to scoop it up off of the foot of Katie Omerod.
Just another great play there by Bullied. Hasn't lost her composure even after letting up that goal. She's still making a lot of great plays like she did in the first half.
Loose in the middle. Omerod uncorks one, and it's in the back of the net. Katie Omerod converts on the turnover. Florida Tech goes up a goal. Look at it again. Fruits to Bullied, and just kind of whiffed it sort of to no man's land. And Katie Omerod was there and ready to jump on it, and she did just that.
And again, any sort of momentum that North Georgia builds up, Florida Tech is just right there to take it away.
That is the first goal of Katie Omerod's collegiate career. A freshman from Redcar, England, and Redcar and Cleveland College. Finds herself in the score sheet here in the 61st minute. Foul there on Florida Tech, and it will go, on the Nighthawks, and it stays with Florida Tech now.
Yeah, not sure what the conversation it was going into the halftime break, but these two teams have really stepped it up here offensively. Florida Tech, now 2 quick goals here. Was about not even 10 minutes in between those two here in the second half, and it's been a completely different ball game here in these final 45 minutes.
Odinger thought she had a takeaway, and instead it's a foul right here in front of us up here in the press box. It will be Rebecca Storr who starts it. Far side it goes to Lydia Carroll. And it looks like a sub is going to come on now.
Yeah, looks like Chloe Diaz stepping back on the field for North Georgia. See if she can provide a spark off the bench here in these final about 26 minutes or so.
It was Taylor George as well, the sophomore from Melbourne, Florida, for Florida Tech. A couple Melbourne, Florida natives. Nina Lopez, as we mentioned, one of them. 2 for Florida Tech, Savannah Oxley and Taylor George. Haven't confirmed, but likely that they're all really aware of each other, both at the club and high school level, being from the same city. So 26 minutes left in this game, and the Nighthawks suddenly down 2-1. A costly turnover in their own defensive third led to that second Florida Tech goal. Lopez with a great takeaway. She keeps it on her foot, sends it forward. Too strong for Cottle or Odinger, to make a play.
Yeah, again, North Georgia still hasn't had a ton of opportunities inside of the box. Even that goal from Odinger was, pretty well outside, and she was able to find the back of the net, but still, even in the second half, North Georgia hasn't really been able to press this back line here from Florida Tech.
Fruits heads it away as it was intended for, I believe, Marta Yopis. I think it was actually Jimena Haregi, and now a whistle against the Panthers. Nighthawks can feel the pressure now after being down a goal. The complexion of this game has changed. Bullied goes near side with Aronoff. Alexa Aronoff tripped up there. Draws the contact. That's from Taylor George, the recent sub for Florida Tech.
That was a long whistle from the ref. Maybe thought that we could have potentially seen a yellow thrown there, but the contact wasn't strong enough there on the call.
Yeah, I think it was incidental as well. Strong contact there from Wood to bump Watry off of it, but Lopez saves it. back to her back line. Aronoff cutting middle. Treadwell works to Watry. And Watry intended for Cottle, but missed it right and out. Substitute now for Florida Tech. Going off is Martiopis, and coming on is Nora Oldmark.
Yeah, still about 10 minutes away from having the clock stopped on these substitutions if you're Florida Tech. You know, teams in the past could have used that to their advantage to try to bleed some clock, you know, if they were up and with these substitutions, but with the new rules this year, that's no longer going to be the case.
Chloe Diaz in the middle to Treadwell. Tried to get it forward. Looked like the Nighthawks may have had a chance for a run. Aronoff to Clark. Clark tried to find Odinger turning the corner, but she couldn't get there. Treadwell traps it. Finds Wheeler. Diaz hesitates and plays Cottle backwards. Cottle does retrieve it before it can go anywhere. Tries to split the defense and find Wheeler. Instead, it's turned over back the other direction. Here's Haregi. Ottershead forward for Lauren Wood. Lauren Wood with plenty of space. The defense trying to get back. Wood stops, turns, shoots, bullied, scoops it, and punches it out for a corner.
Yeah, bullied bobbled that one a little bit there on the save, resulting in another good opportunity here for Florida Tech. We mentioned in their first game of the season, they had 14 corners in that matchup against Tiffin, and they've had a handful of opportunities for the corners here in this matchup against North Georgia.
This will be their fourth corner of the day, just one for UNG so far. Ottershead, the freshman, will take it. Lauren Wood is right there in front of her as well. Ottershead will send it low. Fruits stops it back outside the box. Wood, deep cross, and bullied. Doesn't have to worry about it because it lands on top of the goal. So goal kick Nighthawks. They go quickly. 22 minutes remaining. Great touch from Wheeler trying to find Watry, but just out of her reach. Helga Daughter had it deflected. It comes back to Rebecca Storr. Way up forward and nobody in the area. Bullied is there.
And again, that was another great play by North Georgia's back line to not get in the way, just let Bullied make the play, and Treadwell just doing a good job of cutting that pass off.
So we mentioned for Florida Tech, their next game against Lenore Rhine, that's just 2 days from now on Tuesday at 1 o'clock up there in Hickory. And then they go back to the Sunshine State in Fort Lauderdale to take on Nova Southeastern next Saturday before Sunshine State Conference play begins on Wednesday the 25th with Rollins. For the Nighthawks, it's Lincoln Memorial after this on Wednesday. That's at 1 o'clock on the road up in Harrogate, Tennessee. Deep cross in. Aronoff heads it out of danger. This will go out of bounds and stay with the Panthers. Then the first PBC match of the season, USC Aiken comes to town next Saturday for family weekend. That game starting at 4:30. The men will play Georgia Southwestern at 7 o'clock that same night after the women's contest.
And a good thing about North Georgia's schedule this year in the regular season and the way that it played out is every time they do have a home stint, they're guaranteed 2 games at home, so they're not really playing a lot of back and forth of games on the road and games at home. They've got a handful of great matchups here at the UNG soccer field coming up.
That's booted by Fruits off of a Panther, and she's down over there. And that looks like it's Nora Oldmark, who's slow to get up, and she does slowly drop back down as she tried to get up the first place. Referee Not signaling for the athletic trainer yet. Oldmark appears she might be trying to walk it off. It will be a North Georgia goal kick as she last touched it. And Nora Oldmark appears to be fine.
Yeah, especially after seeing Sanchez Andrade go down earlier. Definitely great sight to see there as she's able to get up.
Bullied's ball to the midfield. Wheeler was there. Now Aronoff contesting with Taylor George, and great play by Alexa Aronoff. Diaz, one touch. She plays Lopez. Lopez looking for someone forward. Blanca Cruz back into the game. She's got it. Cruz cuts back to the midfield. Cruz for Odinger. It's deflected and cleared out. A great opportunity for North Georgia. And it looks like Cruz and Odinger just a little bit off on the communication, but they were talking about it after the play, trying to shore that up. Odinger battling, tried to get it from Storr, who has it now.
Yeah, Cruz just came into the game just a minute ago and already making an impact quickly off the bench here for North Georgia, and that's the duo that you want to see, Odinger and the reigning PBC Player of the Week in Cruz trying to connect.
Haregi sent it to the far side with Wood. Treadwell is there, and it's a goal kick. Nighthawks still with plenty of time, but boy, would love to take a win rather than a tie here against Florida Tech. Cruz, a good touch to Odinger. She goes back to Cruz, heads it forward. Blanca trying to control. Now shoulders it down and is bumped off of it. A good effort there by the freshman. Cruz still on the sideline. Out it goes off of Cruz's cleat. Panther throw-in.
Yeah, Cruz only 4 games into her collegiate career, but she's already playing like a 3rd or 4th year veteran out there for North Georgia.
They're very comfortable with Blanca Cruz in the game, it appears. Know that she's dangerous at any given moment. Certainly there are going to be growing pains with any freshman. And Cruz has not started. She started 1 game this year. That was against Young Harris. The other 2, Limestone and UNC Pembroke. She came in off the bench, and Kaylee Ralton likes using Blanca Cruz that way. Put her in, a speedy striker, perhaps when the back line is maybe a little bit tired for her opponent, and it's worked out well so far.
Yeah, we saw her on the road get the start in the second half against Limestone. Paid off, scored another goal for the Nighthawks to lead to that 2-0 win, and her efforts were definitely met in that game against Young Harris.
Strong set-piece opportunity here, and it's just sailed by Helga Daughter there. And clock needs to be stopped for some reason. It looks like Faith Bullied has a loose shoelace, and Michael Fruit's kind enough to help her out. Got to be difficult tying your shoes with the keeper gloves on.
Yeah, definitely not an easy task if you're Faith Bullied there, so nice job to get that all sorted out.
She quickly goes back to her shoe tire and Fruits. Fruits between the legs of Haregi to get it to Aronoff, and poked away by Oldmark. Quick throw-in from Aronoff. Storr heads it up and out. Ball still moving forward for the Nighthawks. Aronoff again waiting. Again for Odinger. And just out of reach of Diaz, but Lopez comes in behind. Nina Lopez with some pace. Lopez for Cruz. Back to the middle. Blanca Cruz a touch strong. Lopez still has it. Taken away now in the battle in the middle. Squirts out to Watry. Wheeler with a chance for a cross. Steps to the far side. Taken out of the play and out of bounds. a goal kick. That's a great cutoff job there by the defense for Florida Tech.
North Georgia had a couple of good opportunities there. Wadtrey may have had a look. Wheeler may have had a look. Cruz also as well, and could have easily resulted in a corner there for North Georgia. But like you mentioned, Brendan, a great job by this defense from Florida Tech to stop any sort of opportunities.
That was Lydia Carroll who played Wheeler off the ball. Diaz gets taken down and a whistle there. Visibly upset with the call was Taylor George. Lopez tried to play it quickly. I think instead the Nighthawks will take this borderline set piece right on the fringe of the attacking third. Fruits lines it up. There's 5 near the box. Fruits sends it high to the far side in the direction of Blanca Cruz. She couldn't win the header. Odinger does step up for the loose ball, though. She's double-teamed, still battling, and a whistle. Foul on Odinger.
Yeah, Odinger was immediately double-teamed there on that play. Got a lot of momentum in this matchup, and she's going to have basically all the attention circled on her for these final 14 minutes.
Helga Daughter finds George on the near side. George trying to move past Clark to the middle. She does, and she gets it up for Oldmark. That pass stuffed by Treadwell, but picked up by Taubin and played to Haregi. Now taken away, Lopez with it for Wheeler. Wheeler for Cruz. She has to retreat a little bit to get there. And a nice job again by Lydia Carroll. Wood up for Oldmark. Treadwell trying to cut it off. Double team comes from Wadtrey. Wadtrey takes it away, good tackle, but Oldmark gets it back somehow, tries to uncork a shot, but Lopez was right there, and she clears it for a throw-in. It was about to be a corner, and Nina Lopez came in darting at the last second for just a throw-in, and the clock is whistled to stop for a Florida Tech substitution as 3 Panthers are going to check into the game.
Yeah, that was a great effort play there from North Georgia to prevent Florida Tech from getting the corner opportunity. We know that they've had plenty in this game. They'll have a throw-in close to the corner here, but it really limits what they're able to do.
So they bring in a ton of offense. Marta Yopis, Katie Omerad, and Sarah Bachaji into the game. Looks like Oldmark and George went off. I believe the last one to also go off was Jimena Haregi. Under 15 to go, so the clock does stop now. Every Florida Tech substitution, as we just saw. And a whistle against the Nighthawks. And now bordering on danger territory, Florida Tech will have a free kick. Alice Mottershead backs up a few steps. Looping ball into the top of the box, headed by Omerad, wide right of the goal.
It looks like North Georgia is going to match Florida Tech here with these substitutions, trying to bring maybe a little bit more scoring into the game for them as well.
Darby Olive back on. She takes over for Alex Clark. Malia Burks, a freshman, comes in for Bailey Odinger. Burks out of Duluth, Georgia, and Peachtree Ridge High School. First team All-State at the 7A level at Peachtree Ridge. Has not seen a ton of action so far this season. She's got a battle with Lauren Wood as soon as she comes in and wins that battle for a goal kick for the Nighthawks.
Yeah, Burks, like you mentioned, Brendan, hasn't seen a ton of action this year, but coming out of high school, definitely had a very interesting path coming into North Georgia. Atlanta Falcons named her the Trailblazer of the Year for her impact on and off the field, was an outstanding flag football player along with her skills on the soccer field. Really a dual sport athlete.
Burke's just another freshman with impressive pedigree before reaching the college level. Fruits on the near side. Intended for Aronoff. Bachaji's there, steps away, but too strong. That touch rolls out of bounds. Fruits, deep throw. Wadtrey was cut off by Bachaji, but Lopez scooped up the rebound And it's just poked out by Savannah Oxley. Headed out again, this time by Rebecca Storr. The Nighthawks move about 20 yards down the field. Still Fruits pressing forward. Cruz now comes over to try to receive the header. Again, it goes out one more time off of the Panthers. That one was Sarah Bachaji. Cruz now too strong with the head. She tried to go to Diaz on the near sideline. And possession changes back to the maroon and white.
I think Florida Tech got exactly what they wanted there out of North Georgia, bleeding a little bit of clock on these throw-ins and eventually end up with possession.
Fruits tackled Yopis, but it goes out. Again for Yopis. Aronoff takes it away. Good step aside to the sideline. Aronoff trying to work away from pressure, and that's on Katie Omerod. She will receive a yellow card here. Too strong on the tackle, and the Nighthawks 2 feet inside midfield will start with the set piece.
And just like a couple moments ago where Florida Tech got what they wanted, North Georgia gets, pretty much exactly what they want here. Clock is stopped with 9:40 to go, and they're going to have the free kick here. Even though it's at midfield, they've got the big boot of Michael Fruits to try to make something happen here for North Georgia.
The sun lowering in the sky, the shadows elongating here in Dahlonega, and the clock dwindling for North Georgia. Down a goal against this stout Florida Tech team who has played well today. Nighthawks were the first goal scorer of the game with Bailey Odinger. Florida Tech responded with a pair of goals in about 9 minutes. And here's a yellow card again on Florida Tech. That's a double yellow, which means it's a red card on Savannah Oxley. Florida Tech's first goal scorer. She is sent off. She cannot believe the call right now. Believe those cards are for dissent, as Oxley complained about the original foul. And now Florida Tech will play with just 10 players on the field for the remaining 9:18, clinging to a 1-goal lead.
And just like that, the momentum shifts back into North Georgia's favor. Clock stops again, and they get to play 11 on 10 for the rest of this game. It's just a huge loss here for Florida Tech. North Georgia has to take advantage here in these final few minutes.
So Oxley needs to be escorted off the bench and away. And as that happens, we will set up for the free kick. It'll be Adley Wheeler. 15 yards inside the midline. Burks for Olive on the far side. Olive stumbles as Wood made the tackle. Now Yopis trying to take it the other way. Olive trips her up. Out of bounds. It stays with the Panthers for the throw. Under 10 to go. Under 9 now.
North Georgia definitely didn't get what they wanted out of that free kick opportunity there. Florida Tech again making another big stop there.
Diaz, chance for a good tackle that would have resulted in a run for the Nighthawks. Instead, Wood too strong. Diaz does retreat to Treadwell after the loose ball. Treadwell working to the middle. She's got Fruits with her. Instead, turns back and plays Burks. Burks forward with a little bit of space. Past Wheeler. Burks still has it. Burks trying to go to Olive. Deflected out. She'll retrieve it quickly. Attempt to throw it in, but not before Kamora Hall will substitute in place of Kat Watry. So another scorer on the field with the man advantage for the Nighthawks.
Yeah, you take out a great defender in Kat Watry, but you do get a little bit more offense on the field here in Hall.
Olive, the cross. Couldn't turn it enough. It did not reach the center of the box. Clings along the side of the goal. Darby Olive, a good chance.
Yeah, Olive has really stepped up her game offensively this season. Only had 1 goal last year. He's already matched that here in 2024. She's been a lot more aggressive when it comes to the attacking game for North Georgia this
Cruz
season.
got a foot on that pass to cut it off. The Nighthawks amping up the pressure now as they need to. Diaz strong on the ball. Omerad flopped down. And they don't get the whistle on the foul, but I believe they get the throw in. And the clock will stop for Florida Tech substitutions. Jimena Haregi back on, and so is Nora Oldmark. Yopis and Omerad will go off. So Florida Tech substituting some offense for defense now.
Stepping on for Florida Tech, number 22, Jimena Haregi, and number 7, Nora Oldmark.
Win. Yes, again.
Aronoff, a good tackle there, but Chaji plays it back to Storr. That goes through everybody to Treadwell, and the Nighthawks get possession back under 7 minutes. Olive and Burks go back and forth. Trying to flip the field. Fruits with green grass. Aronoff cutting back to the middle. Through two defenders. Aronoff to Wheeler. Wheeler turns, lets it go to Olive. Olive comes and gets it. That's Mottershead defending. Olive got past, touched out. Who's it out off of? It's off Alice Mottershead, and the Nighthawks will get a corner.
Well, that one cut it real close over there in that far right corner. Gets North Georgia a great opportunity here late in this second half.
Yeah, risky by Olive to let it go out, but trusted the referee to make the right call, so Wheeler will take the corner. Just the second of the game for UNG. They can equalize here. 6:05 remaining. Wheeler curls it to the center box. Aronoff off the head towards the goal. Cruz turns and shoots, and it's just wide. A goal kick for Florida Tech. They survive the set piece.
Cruz was just a little bit too far to the left there on that shot, and she had a great look there, but the ball bounced around a few too many times and ends up working out in Florida Tech's favor.
The goal kick all the way to the midline. Olive heads it forward for Diaz. She controls and retreats to Treadwell. North Georgia trying to remain undefeated. 3-0 so far. Florida Tech looking for their second win of the season, and what would be a big one against a top 25 team on the road. A win for either of these teams would be huge and mean a lot for the rest of this season. Fruits sends it in for Hall. Hall can't get there before Storr as she heads it the opposite direction to Haregi. Haregi a deep clear as Burks has to go chase it down under 5 minutes in her own zone. She'll turn and try to get back the other way now. Olive to the middle, but nobody was there. And Daniela Taubin plays back to the back line. Oldmark. Far side Haregi with a little bit of space now. Another goal from Florida Tech would almost certainly seal this one. Into the middle. Treadwell cuts off Oldmark. Cruz almost got there, but Wood smacked it forward. Storr way up into the air, back into the box, and Bullied will back up a few steps and grab it. Bullied's punt to the middle, gets past everybody, and sent back where it came from by Lydia Carroll. Wheeler controls the throw in back to Burks. An intense hush has fallen over the UNG soccer field, and that's going to change now with the Nighthawks going the other way. Wood slides in, and a whistle. No whistle. Play on, says the referee. Fruits forward for Hall. She was just a little bit out of position as that ball came forward. Diaz with a good tackle. Nighthawks with the advantage here. Aronoff trying to dribble away, and it just goes to Bachachi. But there is Lopez now. Back for Burks.
Nighthawks had an open Hall just a few moments ago, too.
Trying to be patient and find the right opportunity because there are going to be so few as this game goes on. But also at the same time, the duality of that balancing the fact that the clock is still counting down. We're at the 3-minute mark now as Wheeler sends it forward for Diaz. It's sent out along the sideline by Hala Helgadottir. Wheeler quickly in for Olive, and a whistle of some sort. Not sure what for, but it is now a Florida Tech throw-in. Good header by Wheeler to send it back. Burks had it taken away by Oldmark. I don't know if she knew she was there. Nora Oldmark with some pace, and she's tackled by Treadwell. Treadwell with under 2.5. Lopez in the middle. Aronoff, a veteran on this back line, needs to make a good decision here. She goes to Lopez, and that's smacked on a sliding stop by Daniela Taubin. Oldmark will give chase all the way back to the keeper. Great sliding tackle by Daniela Taubin on what was a big pass for Lopez in the middle. Fruits has it right back where they were. Sends it for Hall into the box, and she will not beat Caitlin Sinkler to it. .148 and counting.
Hall has definitely been their number one target here over these last few minutes to try to get her involved to tie this game up. But, again, Florida Tech just doing a good job of containing her.
Diaz in the middle. Treadwell for Hall, and right off the foot of Storr, unintentionally trapped and stopped it for a second. Now here's Fruits. Nighthawks really just trying to keep it somewhere inside their attacking half of midfield, see if an opportunity can develop. Florida Tech way back defensively, barely pressuring the Nighthawk back line. They did that so well all game. 89 minutes gone. Here's Olive on the far side. Chance for a cross. It's deflected, and the Nighthawks will get a corner under 60 seconds. Diaz quickly tries to get it to the corner with Wheeler. 48 seconds now. Wheeler backs up. Nighthawks send all but two up into the box. All but one. Burks is the only last line of defense. Wheeler into the box. Past it goes, and Diaz will give chase. 36 seconds. Played back to Burks. Nighthawks just trying to go for the tie here now. Half a minute left. Diaz fakes, hesitates. Diaz, a good move to get inside of Taubin. Near side, Aronoff trying to find a spot for a cross. She cuts back on Bachaji. Aronoff tripped up, and no whistle there. Out of bounds it goes. The Nighthawk throw in with 15 seconds. Last chance for UNG. Hall has it. She tries to turn. 10 seconds. Hall tackled and quickly booted to Burks. Burks with 5. She sends one into the box. Cruz controls, turns, shoots, and Florida Tech finds a way to outlast the Nighthawks. And a late valiant effort for UNG falls just short against this very strong Florida Tech team. 2-1 your final score, Robert. The Panthers survive late. Not for a valiant effort from the Nighthawks, though.
Absolutely. You could definitely feel that intensity dialed up to about 110% in that second half from North Georgia. They had their opportunities there in the second to try to make something happen, but again, this back line from Florida Tech, which wasn't a strong suit for them last season, really stepped up in this one against a top 25 team in North Georgia. And, you know, Florida Tech, like we mentioned, not technically a top 25 team, but they have the makings of one, and they're definitely trying to establish themselves here. This is a great way to try to crack that top 25 yet again against the 22nd ranked team in the nation.
That's the first loss of the season for the Nighthawks. They fall to 3-1-0. Florida Tech moves to 2-0-0 on the season. They've got another big game against the number 3 team in the country in 2 days in Lenore-Rhine. And the Nighthawks are going to be thinking about that turnover in the 61st minute that left Katie Omerad unattended just outside the box with a chance to run up and send a screamer into the net, and that's just what she did.
Absolutely. That was just a fantastic-looking goal from her. And, you know, even though Faith Bully let that one go by her, she still had, you know, a pretty solid performance in goal for North Georgia. You know, this just being, you know, one of the very few starts in her career going up against a really quality opponent in Florida Tech. You know, that one just a rare miscue from her, and an otherwise great performance.
We thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. For Robert DiClemente, I'm Brennan Shabath. Glad you could be here. Florida Tech wins this one over North Georgia 2-1. The Nighthawk Sports Network is off for 6 days until next Saturday. be back here at 4:30. Family weekend in Dahlonega. If you can't make it, tune in on the Nighthawk Sports Network as the Nighthawks take on USC Aiken in the women's game at 4:30. The men, as we mentioned, have Georgia Southwestern. That's actually earlier in the day. I mentioned earlier it was at 7. That's my mistake. It's at 2 p.m. before the women's game against the Hurricanes of GSW. We hope to see you all here in Dahlonega or on the Nighthawk Sports Network then. For Robert DiClemente, I'm Brandon Shabath. North Georgia falls to Florida Tech 2-1 here on the